What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Thanks for coming in. I know it's super busy right now in the shop, holiday time. How were you able to sneak away for a good little 45 minutes?
Well, I don't know. I planned it in. My dad always says, "You make time. You don't find time. You make time."
Exactly. So why don't you tell people who you are, man?
So my name's Rico Alderette, and local business owner. We own, my wife and I. We own Made. We also started the Magnolia Center Marketplace, which we just handed off. We started that 7 years ago. We handed that off to another company. They're going to take it up above and beyond what we could ever do at the time. We also have Alderette Designs, which is a steel fabrication facility. We do art pieces like the Citrus Swing downtown. We're working on a Locks of Love for the Leadership Riverside. It's another art piece going to be downtown. And we do steel.
Yeah. So you're from Riverside?
Yeah, I grew up off of Pierce Street. I always say, like, I always went back to Corona.
Oh, okay.
But I grew up off Pierce Street since I was in 5th grade. I was off Pierce Street.
Okay.
And then my wife, Rihanna, she's been here her whole life.
What made you never leave? Because I feel like nowadays,
Rihanna.
like my age group, like everyone I went, it's like most people are like trying to get out of Riverside, and then you always want to know the people that have like been here forever. It's like, even for me, like I never thought I'd still be here, and then people are like, "Why are you still here?" And I'm like, I don't know, it just kind of works. Like, where else am I gonna go?
Well, I guess the big thing is when we started Made, I think 2015, that kind of solidified the deal. I met Rihanna years before that. I moved deeper into Riverside, and then I was a union iron worker, did structural steel. And then when we started Made, it was just kind of, I got more involved in the city and the chamber and all that, and started building a passion for Riverside. And now that's funny, we're all like all things Riverside. The artists in the store is like the biggest thing. We started the store thinking that, we just wanted to give makers and artists a place to sell their stuff. And then as we become like, I don't really say it, but I guess we are the Raincross store.
Yeah, you are.
All of our artists, they're local, or not all of them, but a good part of them. We have over 200 right now, and I think I'd say 90% are local. But as they started coming in, they started bringing Raincross stuff, and that was their love. They're artists, they're makers, and that's what they were doing. So then, obviously, you start
slowly
diving in. Like, oh, Riverside's awesome.
This show is sponsored by Resilient Real Estate Group, powered by EXP. So, you're thinking about buying and selling soon? Yes, we know you probably know a realtor, your mom's best friend's cousin's neighbor, who puts her face on the local shopping cart. But you know what? Our friends at Resilient Real Estate Group have helped hundreds of thousands of people sell houses over the years, and they definitely know what they're doing based on their 5-star review on Google and Zillow. So, it doesn't matter if you're looking to buy $1 million house or a fixer-upper, make sure the next time you're thinking about buying and selling real estate, you give our friends a call over at Resilient Real Estate Group. And now we're back to the show. Yeah, how many, you're doing ironwork. Do you have any art in there? Do you have any pieces?
I don't anymore. So like Alderette Design, we don't. I built the counter.
Okay.
There's some furniture in there that was out of necessity that we put together. But in the beginning, that I did have art, I always hate calling myself an artist. But I made things and I put them in there. Mm-hmm. But now through Alderette Designs, we don't have time to put anything in there.
You
really.
do the big projects.
Big projects. It's more the time. It's like one of those things, like, find something you love and make it your work.
Yeah.
But now it's like I found something that I loved, but it's my work.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's funny how that slowly transitions into like an angle that you never thought were gonna be there.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy, dude. I wouldn't even. 8 years ago, you told me this is where I would be right now doing this with the businesses and all that. I'd be like, I was just an iron worker. I think I was working at the culinary school then, working on that. And it's like,
which that is beautiful.
I didn't design it, but
I know, but still,
I just hung the iron
you're the
on
one
it.
put it together.
Yeah.
So that actually, it's crazy. Some of the pieces of art building wise in downtown Riverside, when you really stop and look at these things, they're
beautiful.
Actually like the transition from like the building we're in, the Lauren building, I think it's 1904. Right around there. Don't quote me on the number. But then to transition like right across the street to that building, and then the new library. It's like this epic, like new modern style of buildings that transition really well in the town.
I hope we keep that up. As long as there's like, I'm not big on like a certain style, but as long as it's got style, that's cool. We don't want that's my thing. Like we don't want cookie cutter stuff. The lobby here is freaking awesome. Like when I got in, I was just kind of looking around all the steel and all that. It's pretty cool.
I think the Mark did a good job.
Oh yeah, I got the Mark the other day. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Oh,
inside.
see, I need to tour it. I want to get it. Is it almost ready?
I think so.
And then we just had Anna Brown over here the other day, and she's building the Rain Cross district or whatever, right next to the
Hampton Inn.
Yeah, that place is gonna look sick too. That's I didn't realize it's 8,000 square feet. She was telling me.
It's huge.
It's massive in there. It's just great to see these old, like that building was vacant for I don't even know how many years, and now it's gonna be great to see someone go in there and like put some life into it.
Bringing life, and that's what we needed. Like all these empty places are bringing life into them. There's not a lot anymore.
It's crazy how busy it is down here. So like I like always asking this question to my guests. It's like, do you remember the moment or the reason when it was like, hey, we're gonna open Made? Like, do you remember that moment in time where you're like, I'm going to transition from this to this, completely different what I'm currently doing? Why don't you walk people through that step? Because I feel like there's so many people that are on the edge of making a jump, and they just need to hear the story that someone else made the jump first.
So the story goes, or it starts like this. My mother-in-law and my father-in-law started making these 3-seater benches. They started the whole thing, and we were going to Rose Bowl, Long Beach, all these other markets and selling them. So as an iron worker, I'm working, 48 plus hours a week. And then we're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, loading up the U-Haul, taking stuff over there. And as I started becoming a general foreman, then I didn't have as much time. So I'm always saying, so we started looking for places for them to put stuff. So we're like, all right, let's go put it in this store. So they put a bench in there. So they wanted $125, but the rent's $125.
Yeah.
They put a bench in there. They sell it 3 months later. They spent $250 to sell their bench. And I'm like, damn, this is crazy. So I was like, I wish we were trying to find a place that was consignment, but no one wanted to do it. So that's another thing too. All of our stuff's on consignment. So every maker knows, artist knows, when that sells, they don't have to worry about the overhead. It sells, they get their money. They get their money. So we were looking, my wife and I had talked about it. Rihanna had talked about it. We're like, I don't know. And then we hadn't taken a vacation. So we go to vacation. Rihanna's telling me, let's find something different to do, blah, 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 going back and forth. We talk about it. We're looking into it a little bit. We're scared. We looked into places. Actually, the first place we looked at was right here to your, not Taylor Winkle's, a couple doors down. We looked into that. And they're like, well, you're not established. We're like, so we're like, we're just beat down. We're like, I guess we can't do it.
Which people don't realize how difficult it is to get commercial.
Well, and this is where it happened is, so we go to Flagstaff for vacation. We talk about it. And we're like, let's do it. And that was like a Monday. I'm back at work. I think we were in a lease on Thursday where we're at now. And it was crazy. Rihanna went and got it. The next day we went and looked at it and we're like, let's do it. And we're like, all of a sudden now you're like, you pull the trigger. And that's like what they say. The hardest thing is the step.
Yeah.
The first step's the hardest one. Once you take that step, then all of a sudden, like, it opens up these other doors of like, look what you just got into, and there's no going back now.
Yeah.
So, and that's where, there's no going back. So we go through this whole process. We build out the store. We come up with ideas. We're going through this. We're using all the money we have saved up and everything, just going through it, maxing out cards. And we open up with 7 makers, and we open the door, and we think that we are gonna
crush it.
We're gonna crush it.
The door's gonna be knocked down by people waiting outside.
And we're looking at it, and then we start looking in hindsight. Look at our stuff. If we were super busy that first day, we wouldn't have any product left to sell. So then I spent months and months and months. That's when we started the market, because there was no foot traffic down there.
Yeah.
So, and then we knew markets. So Rihanna and I, we used to do mini donuts at fairs and festivals too. So like, I guess we kind of always had that bug. Both of our parents also, my dad was a diesel mechanic, had his own business. Rihanna's dad always had something going on.
It's always like that entrepreneur style, so we'll figure it out, we'll do it.
We grew up in that.
It's a different vibe. Like my dad was 39 years at Stater Brothers, so like great job, great support, great everything. But like when I went into this world and I try to explain like hiring, firing, and how much this costs, how much that costs, or even just tax write-offs, like, okay, I gotta write this off. It's like it's not a world that my parents understand. They were always like W-2 employees, so they don't process it.
Well, see, and that's where I think Rihanna, our parents are more like, they were kind of do it themselves. Like my dad had his own business, but he had employees. Didn't want to trust anybody. It's like, you got to trust people, Dad. You got to do this. And so it was more like they were, it's a little different world than I think. They were kind of like kind of old school, right? Just get it done. But you're like, no, you got to pay attention. You got to do all these things and all that. So then we started the market, and from there we started getting like custom orders, stuff for furniture and things like that. And then I started doing the custom steel fabrication. Now we started off in my garage. Then from the fabrication, I mean, if you didn't know Made already, but we started off in the garage. Got a small shop over off Harupa, 700 square feet. Hired one guy there. Now we got 3 guys working with me over at of Chicago and Spruce doing that. And so it's like, my mind is blown. That when you talk about that little seed, that one step of Rihanna just going like, here we go, found a place. All right, let's go. And then that just crazy from that. I mean, we started meeting people in the city. The chamber has been amazing. It's like, it's this crazy. My life has changed in the last 8 years, probably more than it has in the last 44. Like it's insane. Do you feel like,
I feel like Riverside is a town that you have to get in, like with the chamber and things like that. Like it's the biggest small town ever.
And that's the other thing too. It's like I think a lot of people go to the chamber and be like, what can the chamber do for me?
But it's, what can I do to the chamber?
Or not what I could do for the chamber. Like when I reached out to you, so I could help in any way. Like I think that's part of the biggest thing that we've ever done is when we first joined the chamber, when we first opened the store, like the first year, like I tried to go to the meetings and I was like, this is our card. This is this. And I was just like, this doesn't work, blah, 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 blah. And then there was a program called Leadership Riverside that I went through. And I remember that. I've heard that program. It's an amazing program, dude. I went through it. I learned about, I didn't even know that we had 7. I didn't know we had 7 wards, let alone who the council members were at that time.
And you know, don't feel bad. I bet you 90% of people in Riverside have no idea what ward they live in and who runs their ward.
Well, and that's just normal though. But that meant like I wanted to know that. So as I went through that, I started, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And then in hindsight, dude, the more you give, it all comes back. Like I never worry about, obviously, we worry about how we're gonna
make money.
But the biggest thing I think that I've seen a lot of people, like the more you give, the more you get, man. When you do things out of the goodness of your heart without anything back. I know it still sounds
so
cliche, but it is.
But it's the truth. Like I feel like I keep on saying this on the same podcast. I keep telling people, like, if you're not happy with your life, go find someone you can help and ask for nothing in return, and your life will get better.
Dude,
it's as crazy as that sounds. You probably think like, I gotta think about myself. I gotta take care of myself. It's like, no, go find something. Go volunteer. Go give and ask for nothing. Don't expect anything out of it. And somehow or another, it will make you feel better. And then that makes your life go better. Like, it's this crazy system that you don't think will work, but it works. Like, I joined the chamber a long time ago, right? I've been here 5 years and I joined it. And I like, it didn't work, blah, blah, blah. And then someone was like, are you going to join the chamber again? I was like, you know what? I actually am going to. And they're like, why? I'm like, but I'm not going to join the chamber as a real estate agent. I'm going to join the chamber for the podcast. Because the podcast literally has no value. Like, no, I don't need anything. No one has to pay to be on here. This is just providing value, providing a platform for other people. And so for me, it's like, I think that is the way you have to go at it. But like, I think that was like something I told someone. I was like, I went at it the wrong angle. It is, you cannot, and that's why people, I'm going to join the chamber because I'm the dude. You got to come in there providing something or giving something before asking for anything. I think that's the way the world works.
Well, there's a awesome, I don't know if it's a meme or parable. It's about, there's a bunch of people sitting around a pot of soup, and they all have these really long spoons, and they're trying to feed themselves, and they're all starving. They're all just, and they're trying to feed themselves, but they can't. Mm-hmm. And then someone's trying to grab, and someone breaks a spoon, and then it's like, it just shows like the me in the world. Mm-hmm. But then someone finally picks it up and feeds the person across from them. And then the other person feeds them, and the other feeds them. And I know that's like, again, cliche and all that, but there is something about when you set your intent, you set your goals to be what you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. I think that, like, when you talked about how you were redoing this, right? It's that small step. It's in however it works. Dude,
Who knows how this whole thing works?
I believe in the universe. Like, you set your intentions, you start acting the way you want to be, and then everything falls in line.
And then I add, you have to put the people around you to hold you accountable and to keep you on track.
Absolutely.
Like, I think, like, it's going to cliche stuff. Like, I always tell everyone, like, oh, how did you? And I'm like, just follow every stupid Instagram meme about success you read, and it will work. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, the whole thing, like, who you surround yourself with, have a routine, have affirmations, if you do all the things you see that you just slide right past on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, your life will become better. Like, it's so simple.
And then finding, like, I have, like, some really good mentors that I met through the whole system.
Mentorship is so important.
It's so, like, important. And finding people that you can click with, and you don't click with everybody. And
that's okay.
But keeping, like, the people that you see, reaching out to people. Like, there's one mentor that I always thought in the beginning they wanted something from me.
Yeah.
I do steal. Like, I was like, you want something from me. Like, so I always held them, like, a little bit away. It was nice to him, cordial and all that. And I realized they're a really, really good person. They're an amazing person. I lost probably a year getting to know that person better than I could have.
Yeah.
Just because I was worried about
someone trying to take
it. And it's like, you know what? And after that, another mentor of mine said, when you have a bad customer, finish a job, be happy with a smile, and think about what you learned from it.
Yeah.
And don't worry about everybody's out. Just everything's a lesson. Everything's a positive lesson.
Yeah.
Whether it feels like it's a negative lesson,
I know,
it
right?
can be a positive lesson.
Well, and the crazy part is, like, it's so, like, I have to remind myself when things are, like, going south. It's like I try to remind my things, like, okay, what came out of the last time that everything went south and I had my back against the wall? It's like, oh my God, if it wasn't for that, then this would have never happened. And then this would have never happened. And then, and it's like, okay, something's going to come out of this. Now it's my job to figure out what I can pull out of it.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's the way that you have to look at when the things go south, because it's like, I'll get through this, but what do I get out of it to the aspect to make it work? Maybe I don't make the same mistake twice, or at least I can say, hey, at least I got this out of it or learn from it. So how do you balance, like, you have Made, you have the other, you have this, you have the chamber, you have leader, you're helping the city, you got this. I notice you at least got one thing off your plate, the market. Like, how do you like time stamp? Do you like, are you a hardcore scheduler, or are you just like free will, like, let's just roll?
So I try to stick more to a schedule now. Like, I never would have said if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. Like, that's one thing so me, from just being, I would say, not supposed to say it, but I'm just a dumb iron worker. Like, I'm just a blue collar dumb iron worker. I tell you all the time,
I should be a janitor.
But from that, like, I didn't know about I didn't know how about a calendar and all that kind of stuff. So that was the hardest thing for me to get used to using a calendar.
Yeah.
And then that's one of the things too, the Chamber of Riverside, they've been really big about helping me learn how to function in a world. I didn't go to college.
Same.
You know what I mean? So how to function in that world.
Yeah.
Right. There's simple things. Calendar's huge.
Like, calendar invites dude, calendar invites change your life. The moment you start, like, and I started realizing people I hang out with, like, cool, yeah, I'm down with it. Hey, send me a calendar invite so it goes to my calendar.
Yep.
Like, I don't even want to have to type it in. Just send me a calendar invite.
Well, and that's something that's huge. And then the other one would be, when you talk about the balance, it was funny, is another one of my mentors, or it's one of my mentors that I talked about already. I asked them, we're sitting at it was at a Tradish when the Tradish launched, and he's there with his wife, and I said, how do you balance work life? Because I've been trying to, I'm trying to figure this out. This is about probably a year ago. And I get home that night, it was late that night. He sent me a text like, you want to go to lunch tomorrow? I was like, well, sure.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point of it, dude. He's like, you need to figure this out now. Like, this is important. I've just started to figure this out. So your work-life balance is huge. So what I do now is I'm usually at work around 5:30 in the morning. I get home around probably 6:37 if there's not anything going on. And that's my Monday through Friday. That's a given. And then Saturday is usually I'm at work doing, like, at the shop doing office work and stuff like that, trying to catch up on bids or things like that. And then Sunday's family day.
Yeah.
So Sunday is always family day. So I have a piece. Obviously Christmas right now is different because Rihanna's busy at the store. but that's what I did. I had to put one day. And here's the funny thing too, is so we had the market. It took me like 3 weeks to implement Sunday with being okay to be home by myself, like not by myself, but with the family, and not worry about work, like be present,
not check your phone,
exactly, and be present. And then we had a market, and then since I didn't have a Saturday to work, I had to work Sunday. And I was upset on Monday. I'm just miserable. I'm going, what the hell's going on? Like, and then I sit down, reflect. That's another thing too, like reflecting. If you have these emotions, like why are you here?
Why are you feeling this?
Why are you feeling this? And I'm thinking, I was like, I'm mad because I didn't have a day off. I was like, I just did 2 years probably straight with no days off. And then all of a sudden you're mad because but then you realize what it is. All right, make sure you have the Sunday.
Yeah.
So that's my balance, I guess. I use a calendar. In my office, I have all the jobs that we have going on. I have all the jobs where the guys are where they're supposed to be at. I have the things that I need to get done to make the business better. I have bids out, and I just kind of check on all those things. So I have a list. And if you were to take all that stuff and put it on a huge list, it'd be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I take them apart, and then I have goals for the day, and then I have a spot. This needs to be done today.
You know I can waste no time, because I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, because I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, because I gotta keep it tight. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me.
Dude, I love that you said you have goals for the day. I think too many people are like, I got a year goal, but it's like you got to go like goal, like I even have a goal for this podcast.
Right.
Like when I go to any meeting or whatever, I have a goal. Okay, what am I trying to pull out of this thing? And then I can, if all those little goals hit for the day, then I'll probably reach my goal for the day. And if I hit that goal, then I'll probably hit my quarterly goal. And if I hit my quarterly goal, I'll probably hit my half year goal. And it's like the little wins motivate you to keep going forward, because it's like if you just wait for the big ones and then you don't hit it, you're like, oh great. Like it's not motivating.
So we in 2018 or 19, we sold our house for Made.
Okay.
So we're sitting there, we're thinking about it. We're going, all right, how are we going to do this? Let's get this thing going. We looked at our numbers. Lo and behold, COVID ends up hitting, and we didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're sitting there, we're thinking like, what do we do? Like back to 2015, we pulled this trigger, right? Now we're 2018, 2019. We're going, what do we do? Like, did I just blow off like an amazing career as a union iron worker and this and that? And you start thinking like, look at all this, look at what we've done, dude. We started the market, we started the store. You start going back, all those little goals,
those little wins.
So all those little wins you forget about, dude. And then so it's like a double-edged sword. You can't look at where I think this, like if you're running a business or moving forward, is pushing a ball, right? Pushing a boulder. And you got to push the boulder, you got to push it. You got to push it. Every day you got to push it. But if you look back and you go, oh, right now in 2 days, like I've only pushed it 2 inches. This is ridiculous. But you look back in 365 days, 365 inches. Oh man, that looks like a lot. And the other thing too is I think that running a business is kind of like being in a room like this size with balloons. So you have your bidding, your accounting, all these things. And there's the one thing that you know how to do. So like steel, right? I know how to do steel. So I hit that balloon up. And that balloon goes farther than the rest of the balloons. But the bidding, I'm trying to learn how to do it. And you're running around hitting all these other jobs, these hats up. You're hitting them all up. But every time you hit one up, it's like this little meter because like they start building up like tokens or something you can use to hire someone else to hit up another balloon.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's my thing of like with small business. That's what it's like when you start. It's like
you're everything.
You're everything. You're in this room just trying to. But as long as you keep hitting those balloons up and you keep focusing on that, not sitting down and just trying to just sit there in the corner and not move it, it'll get better. It gets better. It gets better over and over. The only time you really fail, I think, is when you quit.
And then the problem is we're all idiots. So then we get to where we think we want to get to, and then we're like, "Hey, let's go bigger. Let's do more things."
Oh, that's
you're in the room and you got all the balloons going great, and then you're like, "Let's get a bigger room and more balloons." Like, what's wrong with us? We're like, literally, there's something mentally wrong with people. What we do, it's like someone was in here the other day, and I was like, "We're gonna start this," and they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Cause I want to," and they're like, "But we already have all of this going on." I'm like, "I know, but how cool would it be if we built this? Like, let's just do it." You know what I mean? And then they're like, "But how are we going to get there?" I don't know yet. And then I was like, I just tell myself every day we're going to get there. I don't know how I'm going to get there yet, but in 2 years we'll be there. Whatever that, we'll figure it out as we get there.
Dude, that's the thing. We'll figure it out. That's like you. And that's what I said, like by the time I'm 50, I want to have 10 businesses, 7 successful ones.
Yeah.
But I already have like 2 other plans going on. We just started the other venture of something else. But yeah, like I don't see me ever stopping.
Slowing down.
No, why?
Yeah.
I enjoy this. I enjoy learning what I know about bidding jobs and time tracking on our jobs and all that stuff, back to the Alderette design stuff. Dude, I thrive on that stuff. I listen to audiobooks. Like you see me walking around with the earbud, it's an audiobook going on in my head, or a podcast. Like I love just hearing new knowledge, learning new things. I enjoy it, man.
Yeah. Who do you listen to podcast wise?
It's more audiobooks.
Audiobooks?
Yeah.
What's a good audiobook that someone needs to listen to? One that's changed your life.
So Traction is
it's
huge.
on my desk.
Yeah, Traction is huge.
Yeah, it's on my desk. Right
Atomic Habits is huge.
it's on my desk.
The pumpkin, the big pumpkin. What was it called?
I don't know.
Let's see.
Traction is a book, like, you know, it's crazy. I never heard of this book until this year, and everyone I talk to is like, "Yeah, you got to read Traction. You got to read Traction. You got to read Traction." It's like, it is crazy how many people run their business off Traction, and if you are not running your business off Traction, like, you're making a huge mistake. I feel like that's what I feel like. Do you ever like right now? I feel like we're
Pumpkin
going
Plan,
through.
sorry.
Oh, okay.
I had shit on that. That was one of the first ones I ever listened to.
And it was money.
Oh, it's awesome.
I think, do you ever struggle with, do you enjoy working in the business as much as on the business? Or do you like either ones?
So here's the thing right now is I spend more time now working on the business than I do in the business. I don't know the last time I welded anything. But it's like at one point that was really hard for me to do,
like give up.
But then the business wasn't growing as fast as it could have. Because there was I forget what a book it was, but it was basically, what's my value?
Yeah.
What is my value to the company? Is it making the things? Is it coming up with the ideas of how things? And I'm like, when we come up with art pieces and design process, I'm totally hands-on that.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to like welding something up and fabricating it, we've got means and methods in place now. We detail it out, we draw it, put it in the shop. My guys are freaking awesome. They know exactly what to do, and they're super skilled, and just let it go.
It's crazy how people just struggle letting things go. Like, I had a mentor one time tell me, he's like, "Yeah, I think I can." He's like, I'm the best person when it comes putting a for sale sign in someone's house. I think I can line it up perfect, and wherever I put that thing, it'll be the best place possible. And I had to give it up to someone because my value was so much bigger than putting up signs. And that time that it took me to do it, he's like, "Cool, they do it, and it's only 80% as good as I think I can do it. 80% is fine enough. It'll move the rock forward." He's like, you have to figure out, like, it's crazy, but it's like, I feel like the non-successful people try to do everything on their own, and the more successful people go like, "Okay, I can bring this person in, I can bring this person in." They're so much faster to pick up the phone and call like, "Hey, I need this, can you do this for me?" Then I got this on my own, I can figure it out. Like, you just can't. You literally cannot do this on your own.
Well, my goal is to find everybody that's better than me.
100%.
The guys that are welding, they're better welders than I am.
Oh yes.
My goal is to find everybody that's better than me, and then back to knowing what's your job. I had a really good friend of mine. He was my boss. It was my first job as a foreman. We're doing these storefronts. I got 2 foremen and 2 journeymen working for me. Fresh foreman, right? Yeah. I'm in there. I'm doing all the work. He's like, "Do you need Steve?" I was like, "Nope, don't need Steve. Take Steve." Okay, all right, cool. There you go. Where we're like, "Do you need the apprentice?" He was like, "Nope." He's like, "Take him. We're doing all the work." And we were doing like, I don't know, 3 storefronts a day or something like that. And we get to the next one, and I need my guys back. He's like, no, they're working. So I was like, what? And he's like, well, yeah, they're busy today. And so we carpooled together. Long story short, we're calling from back. He's like, how come you only did 2 today? He's like, normally you're doing 3 or whatever, And I was like, dude, you took my guys. He says, you weren't using them.
Yeah.
He says, they were sitting around watching you work. Your job is you could have done this. You could have done this, the next. After that, we were getting 4 to 5 a day.
Yeah.
And that what it was, because it was my job was to get the, keep them busy. It's like see the problems.
It's the doctor method. It's like, how often you really see a doctor?
Right.
Like what, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, right? And that's something that struggles in our world because obviously my face is on everything. So they're like, oh, I want to talk to Adam. I want to talk. No, that's this person's job. That's the assistant's job to manage the paperwork. That's so-and-so's job to do this. Like, that's so-and-so's job to do that. But I want to talk to you. I know I'm involved in everything.
Right.
But I cannot be doing everything possible because I just don't have enough time in the day. And to really grow businesses and to really make good money, not even a lot of money. Like that's something else I learned in business. Like, but people don't get like six figure, like $100,000 and you're owning your own business is not, after you pay taxes and employees and office space, it's like, dude, it's not that much. Like I try to be so honest with that. I try to tell people like, oh, you want all of this? Great. It's this much per year. Can you work and make $20,000 a month and do all that work to make no money?
I still made more money doing ironwork. I still
if you calculate per hour, we're way below minimum wage.
Even with the ironwork was like 2 jobs. I'd leave at 3 o'clock in the morning, get home around 7, driving to LA, Beverly Hills, working out there. Commute was 1 job alone. But even then, you think about the time you spent, that's
why you have to love it. You have to love what you do when you own your own business, and because financially, it is not the greatest sometimes. Yeah, sometimes you have some good months, but I just don't think people process how much it truly costs. And I kind of hope like COVID kind of showed people that, like high-end restaurants, so you're like, oh, this place must just crush it. They must just make tons of money. And then you're like, oh, they went out of business? Like how? Like how did they go out of business? It's like, well, that storefront is $15,000 a month. Like, you go a few months not making any money. The margins are just not that big.
People don't realize how much your overhead is. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was the other thing too, like learning, like I calculated all my overhead. You need to bring in, when I sat down, when we moved to the bigger shop, I had to like figure out.
What was the first shop?
First shop, my garage.
Okay. So the second shop.
The second shop was on Harupa.
Okay.
A little 700 square foot. Basically, that was just like a bigger garage. Now I have an office and things like that. But when I calculated, I sat down, 3 guys payroll, my payroll, internet, overhead, insurance, workman's comp, all
That's
those
workman's
things.
comp, dude.
Oh, workman's
HR and workman's comp is more than you think it's going to be.
And you look at it, you're like, I got to make how much a month just to keep the lights on?
Yeah.
That means that's not, or even just not to pay anybody. If for some reason someone gave us a check for this much a month, that's what it takes to keep the lights on.
It's crazy.
And you're like, dang. So no one ever... You'll figure those things out, but don't be scared, because here's the other thing that's positive about this. You go to work if you're an hourly job. Me and my buddy Norm talk about this often. I can go into work tomorrow, and I can get 3 people to call me, and we get 3 really big jobs. It doesn't matter. The income is literally, it could be whatever it is. But when you go to an hourly job, you have the comfort, but also the restrictions of knowing this is what I do. So you have comfort and restrictions, and then uncomfort and no restrictions.
Yeah. You have no floor, but you definitely have a ceiling, and it's the vice versa.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think for me, it's like I'm a kind of not a control freak, and I need to have my hands, but I like knowing like this is the direction we're going. Right. And if one day I want to come in and rip a room up, no one's gonna say no. You know what I mean? Like this is it. That's why I like people are like, why'd you open your own office? I was like, I wanted a space that no one could tell me no. If I wanted to like have a camera guy and shoot some crazy content stuff and have a podcast room and a green screen and all these things that people my boss or the owner of the company might think is stupid, I don't want them to say no. I want to just have straight up creative freedom.
Yeah.
Creative freedom is, but then it's like, way more. I didn't realize what went into it before. Do you believe this? This is a thought I've been having lately. Is that people probably look at you and you're talking about your board of like that huge long list of everything you have to do, and then you want 10 businesses. Do you believe like our bodies get used to handling so many things, just like fitness where like, or stress or whatever. It's like you kind of build endurance for handling more and more things?
Yes and no. So here's like the kicker. I've always been able to like run hard. And my wife would always joke, Rihanna would always joke saying, you know, you get sick when you're on vacation. Every time you have time off is when you get sick. Yeah. And it's funny, as someone said, I've been sick more this last year than I've ever been. So, but I'm also getting old. And I don't know. I don't like to think that I'm getting older, but your body does get used to it. I think that you run at a certain level. It's back to me getting upset when I had one day off, you know? So I agree with you. I think that you can push your body. I know that was iron work. You can push your body way more than you think you can. Yeah. Your body, your mental capacity is so much stronger than we have. I think one of the reasons that you see a lot of successful people that are athletes they run or they work out a lot or they push themselves. That's one of the key things, is to realize that you can do that.
So I'm training for a marathon. I just signed up for my first one. I just signed up last week. People are like, why? And I go, because I want to see if I can do it. I was like, I want to have a mental.
I want to do it.
I want to push myself to a limit and have something to work for. In like, business is easy. Like, I want to have a goal for fitness that it's like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell everyone about it, so there's no way I can back out of it. You know what I mean? I'm going to be like, I've gone out of my way to tell everyone I'm running a marathon. So then I have to.
What day is the marathon?
June 4th. Rock and roll, San Diego. Mark it on your calendars, people. I'm going under 4 hours. I'm already quoting myself. Under 4 hours. And the only reason I'm saying 4 hours is because my buddy ran one. He pulled a hammy, but he ran one like 4:21 or something last year. And I'm like, I was like, I'm gonna smoke you. But it's like that competition to like motivate you, because I think the hard part is you can easily slide into comfort zone. Everything's going well. We're making good money, and that's the danger place. Comfortability is very dangerous, that people do not process. They think like opening new business is dangerous. No, being comfortable, because then you get sideswiped and you didn't even see it coming, because you're just like, you know, maybe that's what COVID did to a lot of people. A lot of people were comfortable, and all of a sudden. So for you guys, like, how has it been able to like grow Made and like the online brand? And like you were just a steel worker, and now you're like, before the podcast, sorry Mark, I'm gonna throw you under the bus, but like it wasn't your idea to do the live. So like you were then doing lives like every day. Like, where did those ideas come from? Is it audiobooks? Is it the mentors? Like, how did you change your mindset from like, I'm just an iron worker, to now I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, and continue thinking of new ideas outside of your comfort zone?
So that's something I kind of always had. I mean, you sit in traffic coming back from LA and all that, you come with all kinds of thoughts. At one point I had a recorder, and I would record all these things. And I wish I could find one of those tapes, because I never went and listened to them again.
No.
But I'd always say like, what if we had this widget that did this, blah, 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 blah. And then this is how it would work, and blah, blah, blah. But I would just that's always kind of how my brain's always been. I've always been thinking about weird things. And then I started realizing, but see, they were always thoughts. But then I started getting older, especially with Made and all that. You realize, wait, you could have a thought, and if you work it out, then okay. Citrus Swing, great example. We talked to them. I was like, we can do this art piece on the wall. Okay. And like, well, what if you had a camera out front where you can put your phone number in? It would take your picture and text it to you. And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, we can totally do it. Yeah. I'm like, shit.
Can we do it?
How are we gonna do that? But we did it. I mean, I reached out to John Sheehan. Freaking, that guy's amazing. We figured it out. So now he reached out to the right people, put the right people in the right spots, put the right people in the right seats. We designed it. We did it. Dude, I think we have over 60,000 pictures since we've initiated that.
And what a cool idea.
It just came out of.
I'm surprised that hasn't popped up more around Riverside.
I agree, Riverside. I'm surprised you don't have, because we own the technology.
But like, I mean, especially like during the Festival of Lights, like how is that not a thing to cut down on, like in certain hot spots? Because everyone kind of knows where you take photos at. You got the wings on Mario's that people take photos at. You got a hand of other spots. Just put one on the wall.
Well, we could totally do it.
Yeah, hey, hit him up. We'll have the mayor on here. I don't even know who would make that decision. The city council? Was that make that? Well,
I guess you'd probably start with Margie Hop to Art and Culture.
Yeah.
Margie, start pushing that.
Hey, Margie, we're going to send you an email later today. I want to cut in on this. So for you, you've always been this way. So what kind of made you become an iron worker then? If like your family was entrepreneur style, you had the men's side, like.
I had something in my life that I had to change. I had to change my career. And that's what I had. That was like, that was my saving grace.
So safe, like people, like the safe bet.
Well, here's the weird thing is when you go through your life, you never think that none of these things that I do right now have ever been planned out. It goes all the way back to in high school. I wanted to take pottery. I had to take AutoCAD.
Yeah.
I took AutoCAD. I had a job doing AutoCAD in high school. I went and did a bunch of other things, got into construction, went back from office to construction, back and forth, drafting, construction. And then with ironworkers came up, being able to read blueprints really helped me out. So there was that. And then I worked at Walmart and Home Base at one time. So when we started doing
that's how you know. I had to stop for that. I mean, Home Depot. I'm like, no, Home Base.
No, Home Base.
You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me.
Dude,
it was right next to Price Club.
It was, yeah. That was a bad corner to stay on business. I'll tell you that. Nothing good happened there.
But then, so with that, learning retail and all that, so all these things that I've done through my life that I never thought everything that I thought was just like a job that I never want to do. It's turned out to be, it's all who I am now.
Yeah.
Which is weird because the retail, the drafting, the drawing, the understanding. I went to school for computer networking also too. So that was like understanding the computers and all that at a time where we barely didn't have internet.
Yeah.
All that stuff all those tools I learned then, I use to this day, which is insane. Because I never even wanted to know any of those tools.
Yeah, it's like Scott. I think Steve Jobs said one time. I think it was at Stanford. He was talking. He's like, "Your life is just, you don't realize your lights are full of dots, and you don't know how they connect until you look backwards."
Oh yeah,
and that's the truth. Like you literally like to think like the steps in place have got like if you, like you said, like if you would have told you 8 years ago you'd be here. If you told me 7 years ago I would be here and you would be there, I would have been like, "Oh yeah." You told me 8 years ago, I'd been like, "No way." I would never. I wasn't even in real estate. I wouldn't even think about any of these things.
Right.
And then it's like, "Hey, let's do this. Let's do that." And then certain people come in your life, you're like, this is my idea. Oh my God, this person can make this idea possible. Yeah. How do we leverage that to get that? And that's something I've learned is like, it's not, you have to like get an idea and then go find the people that can pull off the idea. Yeah. That's really like the magic sauce. It's finding the right people. And now you're at a place now where you can make a call and you probably now almost have anyone to handle anything.
If not, I could find,
someone could call someone to get something done.
I think so. And that's where, I'm very fortunate I worked very hard to get to that point, but at the same time, I've given a lot and I've gotten a lot.
You built up a lot of human equity.
I never looked at it that way, but
that's how I look at it. I believe like the problem is why people don't get what they want is they don't take the time to build up equity with people. And they just want to take and they just want to ask for things and things like that. They don't ever like try to provide. And then you build up equity. And then when you ask for a favor that you need help with, that person can help with, they feel like, hey, this person's giving me XYZ. I could, you're right. I should be the person that helps out now.
So, and that's the other thing too, is I hate asking. I've learned a lot, but I'll give. So out of the times, and eventually you're like, when we got into some hard times, like I got to start asking. I realized, you built up that human equity, and a good friend of mine told me, there's so many people when you get to the certain level of trying to be involved as a business owner, you're busy all the time. So it's not like when you're a 9-to-5 or you have a bunch of free time. Hey, let's go see the show tonight. Let's go. Yeah. Like you don't know when your times are off and all that. So when you're with somebody and having drinks with somebody or sitting down with them or having lunch with them, it means a lot because they're taking the time out of their busy day to spend that time with you. And we're not talking about business. We're talking about anything. We're just talking about how we're getting through life.
Yeah.
Like my friendship circle has changed completely.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I still, all the close friends I had when I was, doing that, they're the same there. But it's a weird, like I'll hang out with one buddy, be like, we're talking about music, we're talking about that. But then I try to bring in homeless solutions or something like that. I don't want to hear about this stuff, or did you see blah 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 this happened, blah 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 blah. I was like, I don't know. I was like, all right, we don't have those conversations.
Was that a hard transition for you to step away from that friends group to that? I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand when they start reading books and going into business and things. Their old friend group doesn't process the things they want to talk about.
It does, but I think I was fortunate through with Leadership Riverside to be able to get thrown into. I was thrown into this different culture.
Got it.
And I was fortunate to find a group of guys that I really got along with. And then so they really helped me at the same time grow to that. And I didn't realize, into hindsight, I've realized that's what happened.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it happen.
You just like
It just
slowly but surely like transitioned.
Right.
Like you were in the leadership, so you were put in the right place with the right people.
Well, yeah, I was almost like pulled up into like.
Yeah.
I was
to go into that spot. So do you do like weekly masterminds with those guys? Do you have like quarterly? Like
I do.
How do you guys stay in contact? Obviously, you've talked about mentors and circle and things like that. Like, is that something you guys do?
Yeah, it's not. One of them I have a scheduled. We have a Monday meeting, accountability meeting, every that's scheduled. But for the other guys, it just kind of it in the beginning we did. And I've been trying to get that back. We've thought about getting a group of people together. It's kind of weird. It doesn't really work out that way, but at least once a month,
get together
somehow as a group, and then on one-on-one throughout the week or whatever.
It's so crazy, man. I just don't think people process how important that is.
Dude,
that is the most game-changing thing. I think it's like I think if you had to take one thing, I think that is the code to success. I truly believe it.
If you judge yourself by the people you keep around you.
Yeah. Like me and my buddy, we were like, okay, how are we going to hold each other accountable this year? I said, all right, this is what we're going to do. You're going to send me 10 things, work/personal. I'm going to send you 10 things. And every single week, if we don't do it, you owe $250 to a jar on your desk. And at the end of the year, you donate that, whatever money you have in there, you have to donate to my charity that I want to, and any money that I have to donate to your charity. And every single week, if you don't let $250 cash has to go into that jar. Every single week.
Well, but see, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I get simpler. So I got a buddy that lives in Tennessee, and I didn't even realize we're doing this. It's funny you say that, because he's got 2 businesses he's running out there, and I hadn't seen him in years. We caught up at the showcase, a documentary. Hadn't seen him in years, man. So we started talking. I didn't know he's running a business. He didn't know I was running a business. So we start through Instagram and start talking. Now we text. This is the book I just finished. Oh, this is the book I just finished. And then simple things like that, dude. And that's like, I mean, we were in high school running amok together. Like, that's like, it's crazy to think
like so many years later, you guys are now doing this. You know what I mean?
Who we were then. If you would have told us this is who we'd be then, sorry.
This is what we'd be talking about. Like, hey, bro, I just read this great book. You should totally order it. Like, do you ever get overwhelmed by education? Like you feel like you're grabbing too many books or listening to too many podcasts, or
I don't think so. I tend to like, if I fall out of a rhythm, it's usually because I stopped. So like that's one thing that I have to keep going. But it's like meditation, education. Those are like the 2 things that have become building habits, are the ones that keep me more. If you think about like when we first started, the track seemed like it was always falling off.
Yeah.
And so now it seems like it's off. Sometimes it's off the track and you go, it's off the track. We're going to get back on. It's cool. Yeah. It's fine. But now like the old me would be like stressed, like freaking out. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? So now the train could be like totally off the track and it'd be like, okay. But if the train's off the track, the first thing I go to is like, are you meditating? Are you educating? Like those are the 2 things that like, all right. And then you're going to meditate today, but you remember it's going to take like 3 or 4 days to
get back on track.
So like, you're okay. Don't stress out anymore. Just let's do today. Let's do tomorrow. Hey, right? We're good.
We're going to start getting on track.
We've already made it this far. It's been 8 years. Like if it was going to blow up, it would have.
Listen, we already made it past the 5. You know what I mean? We already made it past the milestone. And that's the thing. It's like getting past those milestones, and then you have momentum, and then things get easy. It's just the hard part of getting the momentum.
Well, I make sure I bring everything that makes it not easy again in.
Yeah.
You got to keep making it hard.
You gotta keep because you're crazy, dude. You're a crazy man. So, man, I appreciate this conversation. I think it's so cool to sit across from people and give maybe you an opportunity to speak or whatever. That like a lot of people probably don't know this about you, and this is how you think. And it's like I want people to start realizing it's really like the 5 main core things that every successful person does. That like. They at first they're hard to do. Like I suck at meditating. Like
Right.
I struggle. I try and I work on it. And I try, okay, just do it for 1 minute. Just get 1 minute, clear your mind. Okay, now let's go 2 minutes clearing your mind. Okay, let's write your affirmations down. It's not easy to start, but
Right.
after you get the momentum going, it's a game changer.
You could check into different kinds of guided meditation. So I found one that I liked, and not really willing to share it, but it's the one that I like. It works for me, but everybody else has different things. And that's the other thing too is, for me, at least, when I started the meditation, it took a lot of to get past it. And I could tell, like, if I go to meditate, like how long it takes me to get into it. Kind of is kind of like a gauge on where like my whole this gets super
Like,
woo, but like that's where I'm at. Like if it takes me a long time, it's a 17-minute meditation. But if it takes me like I know through the words, like I'm at a certain part of the body where you're focusing on, it's like, man, I'm still
You're
struggling.
battling right now.
You're like, man, all right. So that's even more. You go, dude, go get this.
Yeah.
Where sometimes I can sit there if I'm good. It's like I'll be 2 minutes in or something, and they're like, oh man,
You're already in the zone, yeah.
And if the phone rings, they'll be like, all right, I'm in the right spot right now.
Perfect. Well, man, thank you so much. Why don't you? I wish I could like get people to lead things off. What's some advice you'd give someone that maybe is in a position that they want to make that jump, and they haven't made the jump like you did one day?
I would say just do it. Like, obviously, be secure for like we had ironwork as a backup, right?
Yeah.
That was my always go-to. When I applied for leadership Riverside, I was like, I don't care if they take me or not. I can go back to being an ironworker. I don't care.
Yeah.
So there is that safety net, but at the same time, you have to go forward you have to take big strides. Tiptoeing in probably isn't the
Not the way to go.
I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
I think
everybody's different. That's why I hate when he's like, I never want to get the call like 2 years later. I listened to what you said.
Well, I think the hard part is that it takes so much longer than you think, and it takes so much more work and so much momentum. So when you are taking baby steps, it just prolongs the hardship. And then the longer the hardship takes, the more likely you are not to do it. It's like jumping in a pool. If you go toe first and it's cold, and then you go your ankle, and then you go you're going to be cold. Or you can jump in and be cold, and you'll warm up faster than you if you just put a toe in there.
I would say know your value.
Yeah.
And be willing to give.
Got it.
At the same time. So it's like, don't cut yourself short, but also be able to give at the same time.
I love it.
I don't know.
I love it. That's a great way to end it, guys. Make sure, you know what, go support the arts. Go stop by Made. They have some really, really cool stuff there. Follow them on Instagram. They're always posting the things that they have in the shop. If you need anything custom, reach out to them. They'll definitely try to figure out a way to connect you with someone or do it themselves. And I thank you for your time, man. Until next time, guys. Peace.